Okay, this video is going to describe how to find circumference and area of circles. All right, before we get going with examples, we need to make sure we understand the parts of the circle. We talked about this the other day in class. We have 3 parts of a circle. The first one with this green line, it starts from the center and goes all the way to the outside edge. That's called radius. Then the pink line that goes all the way from one edge to the other is called diameter. And the distance around the outside edge of the circle is called circumference. On this page is a list of the formulas we're going to be using to find the measurements for circles for circumference and area. Circumference has 2 different ways. You can do it with radius or diameter. However, area, we only have one choice. You have to use the radius. It says pi r squared. That really means you need r times r. We're not multiplying by 2, just r itself. And then the last thing you need to know with the formulas is that for the pi symbol, that's going to be a rounded number. Since it's irrational and goes on forever, we're just going to use 3.14. This first example says find the circumference of the circle to the nearest hundredth. Nearest hundredth means if the answer was really long, you would only include 2 digits behind the decimal. The hundredths place is the second digit behind the decimal. Okay, so we need to be aware of that. Then the second thing is, what is this question asking for this particular circle? And this one says find the circumference. Well, just a few minutes ago, we went over the parts of the circle, and circumference is the distance all the way around the outside edge. Okay, then over here on the side of my paper, I've got some reminders. When we're trying to find circumference, we have 2 different formulas. We have a formula that has 2 pi r, and we have a formula that says pi d. So we have to decide, is this specific example telling us radius or diameter? When you look at this one, the dotted line goes all the way from the left side to the right side. That is the diameter. So I'm going to label that. Now that I know that, and I know that I'm finding circumference, I'm going to come over to my formulas, and I'm going to circle the right formula that I'm supposed to use. Okay, so then I would just say the formula that I need was C equals pi d. We also have a reminder that pi is supposed to be 3.14. That's the rounded number we're going to use. So now I can start filling in my math question. C equals 3.14 instead of pi. When 2 things are squished together, that means multiply. And then d, in this specific example, remember diameter was 8. I don't really know that in my head multiplying out. I could estimate 3 times 8 is 24, so it's going to be a little bit more than 24. But to keep this video shorter, I'm just going to tell you that 3.14 times 8 is 25.12, and then the units we were measuring in were inches. So the final answer, circumference of this particular circle, is 25.12 inches. Example 2, this one says an irrigation sprinkler waters a circular region with a radius of 14 feet. Find the circumference of the region that was watered by the sprinkler. So again, we want to determine what is it asking us to do. It asks us to find the circumference again. And from our first slide about parts of a circle, circumference was the distance all the way around the outside. Then once I know that, I have to decide, am I going to use the formula with the radius or the formula with diameter? So coming over, if I look at the dotted line that they gave me, it started in the center and it went to the outside edge. Okay, that's called radius. So I'm going to label that. Now I can come over to my formula chart, and I would use the formula that says C equals, because I'm doing circumference, remember? And then the formula that has R, 2 pi r. So now I'm going to start setting it up. C equals 2 pi r. 2 stays the same. It's just a regular 2. Then everything's squished together, so that means multiply. 2 times pi, we're using 3.14. And then also times radius, and then in this question, the radius was 14. It doesn't really matter what order we do these numbers in, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do 2 times 14. If you would rather do 2 times 3.14, you can, but 2 times 14 is 28, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that part, and then bring down my 3.14. Now my question says C equals 3.14 times 28. And again, to help keep this video shorter, I'm just not going to work that out, but tell you that 3.14 times 28 is 87.92. The units we're measuring in were feet, so my final answer would be 87.92 feet. Before we do area of a circle, I want you to just think for a second. With an easy shape, how do you find area of a square? So here's our square. The measurements on a square would be called length and width. If I want to find area of a square, I would just do length times width. So we're going to apply that thinking over to do area of a circle. So if you're in my class, none of this screen was on your notes. That's why it says just think. Okay, so now we're going to look at area of a circle. Example 3, it says how to find area of a circle when you know the radius is the example we're going to be looking at. Again, first thing to do, like before, was find out what is it asking for. This particular question says we're going to find area. Okay, we're going to do that differently. We said we're going to think about a square. So what I want you to do anytime it says area is in this top right hand corner, I want you to draw a square. It's going to extend out just a little bit, but I want to draw a square in this top right hand corner. Okay, and we just said to find area of a square, you would just do length times width. Okay, so I'm going to shade this in to match that it says area. Okay, this circle right here said the dotted line going from the center to the outside edge, they've labeled it as 6. So the square that I drew also starts in the center and goes to the outside edge. So the length of this line is going to be 6. Okay, I'm going to put that on this bottom side as well. And then remember, just a second ago on that page where I had the square, if I want to find the area of a square, I just do length times width. Well, now since we're in a circle, these two things are called radius. We need to always use the radius when we're finding area of a circle. When you come over and look at your formula chart, the only way to get area, it says right here, the formula for area of a circle is pi r exponent 2 squared, pi r squared. This little 2 right here does not mean multiply your radius times 2. It means I need to write down another letter r and multiply it by itself. Put in 2 letter r's. So that's why on your page I've written it for you stretched out without the exponent. And it would be a good idea for you to do that on your paper, just so you make sure you multiply it times itself, not by a 2. Okay, so now I'm going to put in the numbers. Pi, remember we were saying, is 3.14. And radius for this particular example was 6. And I'm not doing 6 times 2, I'm doing 6 times 6. Okay, you can do these numbers in any order you want, but most people probably know 6 times 6 in their head. So we can just solve that one and say 36. Then I can bring down my 3.14. Now I only have one multiplication problem to solve out. 3.14 times 36. To keep this video short, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. You could check it with a calculator, but 3.14 times 36 is 113.04. Then the units were meters. Area is always in square units. So one thing you can think about is the formula has an exponent 2 in it. You need to also include that in your answer, or it's talking about how many square units cover this entire surface. Example 4, it says how to find area of a circle when you know the diameter. Okay, we again are saying we need to find area. If it ever says area, what I want you guys to do is draw a square starting from the center of the circle. I'm going to draw a line all the way up to the top, all the way out to the edge of the circle, and then up. Okay? We're going to use this square as our reference point, because remember, a square reminds us we just do length times width. So I want to find the area of the space all inside here. That's my reminder. And when I'm finding area, I always need to use radius. The line that was given to us, this dotted line actually starts all the way on the left and goes all the way to the right. So that's called diameter. But if I only start in the center and draw a line out to the edge, that's only half as much. So instead of 8, I need to cross that off, and I need to use a 4. Because 8's the whole distance, and I only need half the distance. 4. Then I'm going to come over to my formulas. And for area, remember it said area is pi r squared. That's my formula. And then the squared, remember, does not mean times 2. It means put down 2 letter r's, and we're going to be multiplying them all together as 1. So area equals really pi times r times r. Pi, we've said, is 3.14. So now I can fill in my numbers. 3.14 times this example, our radius is now 4. And I'm going to do 4 times 4. Not 4 times 2, but 4 times 4. Okay. I can do these in any order I want. But again, like I was saying before, some of this we could do in our head. If we just did 4 times 4, most people know that's 16. Then I can just bring down my 3.14 to keep going. Area equals 3.14 times 16. You could check this with a calculator, but I'm going to let you know that it is 50.24. And then the units were in feet. And again, we said all area answers are square units. We've got that exponent of the 2 in our formula to remind us of that. But the final answer, area of this particular circle, 50.24 square feet.